my channel where I discuss the Power Platform. Today's episode is going to be an introduction to Power Apps. So this is great for anyone that's looking to get into it, maybe just wants to know a little bit about what it's about. We are actually going to build an application, but it's not going to be difficult at all. So let's get right into it. So getting started with Power Apps, what kind of thing can we look at? So first of all, what is a Power App to begin with? So Power Apps, we just bring that back here. Power Apps is a low-code service, and it's part of the Microsoft Office 365 tool. It allows you to build custom applications that connect to your data source and that you interact with data in a flexible way. We have two types of Power Apps. We have a canvas-driven, which uses many different data sources, and we have a model-driven application. Now, in this video, we're just going to look at the canvas-driven data sources. So when getting started with Power Apps, there's a few things that I think are very useful to kind of look at. So you've got this Microsoft Learn, which is a Microsoft document that actually lets you create a Canvas app and it talks you through the whole process. So if you want a more in-depth video, you can have a look at that here. Link. Shane Young does some amazing videos out there on Power Apps. He's one of the first people that I had a look at a lot in order to get into Power Apps. The Power Apps community is great. A lot of questions that you can ask on there. So if you ever get stuck on something, fear not, you're never alone. And Twitter. Twitter is a great resource for learning and connecting with people, so I definitely urge you to check that out. And this book, which I use quite heavily when I first started getting into Power Apps, which is The Non-Developer's Guide to Building Business Mobile Applications by Tim Lim. Now, when we start looking at using Power Apps, we need a data source. We need something to read and write into. Now, one of the locations I actually used to do this was a Sharepoint list. Simple Sharepoint list here. So I have a user, an item, a store, a category, a number I could be ordering from here, the date, the name, so there's a bit of dummy data in there, and whether it was bought or not, so maybe I'm just putting this together for my own use. Now, what we can do under each of these and see how they've actually been configured. So here I've actually got choices, that's a choice field, and if I look at, say, the quantity, for example, we can see that quantity is a number. So the first thing I'd start is just create a Sharepoint list, just put some fields in there, and this is actually going to help you start building a very simple application. Now the amazing thing you can actually do from here is you can select this Power Apps button and we can create an application. And we'll give it a name there. So let's call this Testo 506. For those of you that are keen-eyed, that's today's date, which is an easy way that I use to remember which applications I'm actually building, even if they're in a test scenario. Now this is amazing. This is actually going to build our app for us. As our app is getting ready there, it's actually going to build a few screens for us to utilize, which is amazing. It's a really great way of actually learning how to use Power Apps without having to do anything too wacky. So we'll just give that a second. It's actually saving that application for us as well. So now let's hit play. So the top right we have a play button. So we've got our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 items there. What we can do is we can go into one of these items, we can have a look at it. We can actually edit one of these items, so I can say, you know what, I actually want two pizzas, and it's actually today, so this is a demo I made a while ago, so let's actually say we're actually now on the 5th of June. Okay, so I'm going to select that day instead. I'm going to update that, so that'll be updated for me. So that was the 5th of June. Go back. I don't want these beans anymore, to be honest. I'm just going to delete those. So you can see how I'm just stepping through and having a look at what's actually there. Now then, what I'll do next is actually have a look at that from the screen's point of view. So on the left hand side, we've got a browse screen. We have a detail screen and an edit screen. Now a browse screen like this has a gallery on it. So within Power Apps, you have a few different components and ways in which the data is presented to us. A gallery is primarily used to show data. So you can see here it's actually showing us our grocery list. Within the gallery, if you click on the downward arrow, it shows you what's within the gallery item. So for example, we have a subtitle here and we have a title here as well. If we have a look at some of the other pages here, for example, the detail screen, we have a detailed form. So that's another component which Power BI has. Now, if we have a look at this and have a look at the item property here, that is the item which is selected in our browse gallery. What we can also do is have a look at our edit screen, and we can see our edit form here, which is our item property. Again, is that which is selected in the browse gallery. Now, this is great, and it's going to give us an overview. It's going to give us a really good blueprint to start thinking about how we can build apps. But of course, one of the best ways to learn is to start from scratch. So we're going to leave that like that. And what we'll do is we'll build an app from scratch. Okay, so starting from scratch is always a lot of fun. So let's go into here and build a new application, and I'm going to build a Canvas application here. And I'm going to go for a blank mobile layout here, so just give that a second to build. Of course, we need a data set, so I'm just going to pick that up like this. And we want the similar kind of components we have, so we are going to start from scratch this time. So what I'll do is first I need my data source, so I'm going to go over here, pick a data source here. I'm going to pick the Sharepoint data source. I'm going to add a connection, connect directly, and what I can do now is once that lets me paste in the site details, I'm going to paste it in like this, oops, at the top, and connect. I've got this grocery list here, so I'll connect. Now that's actually for use in my Power App. So let's go ahead and build the first screen being the gallery. So we'll go in and put in a blank vertical gallery. So this is completely from scratch, so you know you could be pausing this video and having a go yourself as well, which I urge you to do. And we're going to select our grocery list as our data source. We can add a few fields now, so we can put some controls in there. Go for the blank layout here, so what I'll do now is I'm just going to put in the title in that. I'm going to put in the subtitle, so I can show a few different elements from here. So I thought that was a subtitle. Let's see what other options we have. The subtitle was, for example, the store. So that's actually, it's not called subtitle in our data set. We'll put something else in. Perhaps we want to show the quantity of items ordered. So that's a very simple gallery there. I'm going to jazz this up by using a theme. So I'm going to go for this aqua theme here. I like to put a border around some of my objects just to make them a little bit neater. And from here I want to navigate eventually to another page which will show me the item. So what I'll do is I'm going to put in the icon here, and I'm going to have an edit icon so that we go through to our page. I'll put like a title on here, so we'll say these are our grocery list items. Okay, so at the moment we haven't got a lot going on. We can see our items, we can click around and nothing much happens at the moment. So what we'll do now is we're going to create another page here to actually look at the detail behind everything within each of our records. So we'll go ahead and actually use the insert here. And this time we'll have a display form. So a display form just lets us view the data, doesn't actually let us interact with the data. Okay, so here we're going to select the same data source, which is our grocery fields. And this time we'll it's actually put in a bunch of fields for us, which is great actually, because it's going to speed up that process of learning about how Power Apps works. Another thing we have missed out here is we don't know which item that we want to show. So what we want to do is we actually want to show whatever is selected in our gallery. So in our property here where it says item, we're actually going to use the gallery one dot selected item. So whatever is selected there, it's actually going to show us. This is great. So because this first item was selected, it's actually going to show the item there. Now this pen name needs to take us here. So what we can do is we're going to introduce our first formula. So we can navigate we can navigate into our screen 2, and as soon as we get there, of course, that item is going to be selected and ready for us, so we can give that a test. So we can go through and look at, for example, this 23 item here from the Jessie store, and we can see that it's appeared. Now when we get into here right now, we're going to get stuck. Okay, we're not going to be able to get out of our application, so let's make sure that we have a back button that can do that. So we can utilize this back function here, which just takes us back to wherever we were before, and we'll just put a back in there as well. This is great. Now we can view our power-ups. Now what we want to do is we want to edit the data. So let's have a go at that. We'll create a new screen as well, like this. This time we're going to use a edit form. We're going to connect that to the same data set that we've been using, which is this grocery list. And again, it's put in some fields for us, which is great. And now what we can do is we can actually use this form to create a new item as well. So I'm going to put a few buttons up here and it will make sense. So we're going to have a new button, and we're also going to have a save button up here. Now when we hit this new button, and of course we need our back button as well to get back to our front page in case we get stuck, and the great thing is we can copy and paste in Power Apps, so I can pick up that back button and bring it across like this to make sure I don't get stuck. Okay, so now this form at the moment has a very simple name of Form 1. So what we'll do is we're going to use a few different formulas, and this will make more sense as I step through how this actually gets used, and we'll do a new form and like so. So whenever that button is clicked, this form becomes a new form. The save will actually be submitting that form, so we want to submit the details within there to your data set. So we use a very simple formula of submit form. Now the other thing we want to do is when we come here from another page, for example, so at the moment our edit button here actually takes us to screen 2, which is not what we want. We want it to actually take us to screen 3, which is now where we're going to be doing our editing. And we want to change the form into an edit form when we get there. Okay, so let's make sure we can actually get through to screen 2 still. So we're going to use something that looks like a viewing icon. So we can go for one of these arrows, more. So that kind of more will actually take us to more details. Okay. So we want to navigate to screen 2 when we do that, so we're not losing that piece of functionality there. Okay. So now what I'll do is I'll go through and click that edit icon. At this point nothing's actually appeared, and that's because we haven't set the item property. So that will be gallery 1, of course, just like we did our view dot selected. Now that'll actually give us the ability to edit this item. So what I can do now is actually change that to be dairy, for example. I think chips are in the dairy category now, so I'm going to save that. Now if we go over to our SharePoint location and have a look at that, we can see that chips has now been given the category of dairy, so that's worked. Let's have a go at creating a new item. So if I just click new there, it's cleared my form for me, which is great. I'm going to call this a test item so that I can quickly look at it within my SharePoint list. Put everything test and put it in this, and I have to put a number in here as we know, and the date, which is the 5th of June 2020, and put some notes in there. Did I buy it? No, I haven't bought my test item yet. And click save. And you can see that when we come over to our SharePoint list, we actually have our test item here, and we have everything ready for us. So that's a really quick way in which we can actually build an application. Okay, so I hope that's really helped you actually think about how easy it is. I mean, that's taken us, all of a few minutes. So if there's any questions you have, please let me know. What I also wanted to add is some advice that I have from kind of being engrossed in building all these applications. So some advice that I would give is when you're first starting out with Power Apps, we used a submit form, but you should learn the patch formulae. So I'd have a look at this article here, which is the Microsoft article. We should be using collections when using large data sets. So, if there are a few things that I urge you to learn, that is using collections within Power Apps. Use update context, so ways in which you can actually update and keep variables within your application. So again, these are just pointers, so the onus is on you to have a look at this, using the set function and also components, which I think are a great way of really speeding up Power Apps. Although you can actually import components as well, and see here are some of the links that you could use to learn all about this. I really hope you enjoyed that whirlwind tour, and it really was a whirlwind tour. If you haven't already done so, check out my introduction to Power BI series report video that I made, and look out for the Power Automate one. These are really meant as a video of people that haven't used Power Apps before, just to get an overview. What is Power Apps? What is it all about? So I really hope you enjoyed that. Please do subscribe if you liked what you saw, and I'll be producing more and more content. Thank you.